honestly, I mean, we could go on and on. As I told Melissa, look out because when we get started, you can't stop us.
Yeah, the jokes don't stop. They just
They don't
nonstop
stop. They
here. They
keep
don't
going.
stop. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yes. So please, you may have to sign a waiver for some of the things that I have to sign a waiver for some of the things Dr. Roth will say about me while we're here. Don't believe any of it.
Well, before I say it, please cut the recording so it's not on any proof against me here.
It's nothing new. It's
Well,
nothing new.
we have a number of students here, our students as well as some faculty. My goodness, Donna Greenwood, we are
Donna,
honored with
the
your
great Dr.
presence.
Greenwood.
Oh my God.
There
No,
she
when
is.
I saw budgeting, I am here to learn.
Well, I
Uh,
tell you.
Thank you.
All right. I hope at the end you'll say, yeah, I learned a lot rather than these two guys talk too much.
I think I'm going to walk away with some ideas. Thanks.
Well, I'm sure you will. And I see Mabel. Mabel, of course, one of my best students, along with Wanda and Michael. Thank you guys for coming. I appreciate it very much. And
yes.
I hope you we don't scare you off.
Wow. I tried to scare Wanda off many times. And Michael and Mabel also. I've
It's not
had
easy to do.
classes, multiple. Dr. Greenwood worked for me for like 5 years, and she's still here. I don't can't believe she's still coming to meetings with me on Teams. So, no, I would say this is a very resilient group. And speaking of resilient students, Eduardo, there's Eduardo.
Oh
There
my
he
God.
is. He has a Tuesday
Blast
night.
from the past, Mr.
There he is.
Callejas. Oh, we are truly honored to have you here, my man. How you doing?
Doing good. It's great to see you
How have you
again,
been?
Dr.
It's good to see you.
Can you hear me all right? Is my microphone working?
It is.
A little
It's
scratchy.
a
It's
little
okay.
gravelly, but it's all
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
That's right. We know who you are. Will not allow you to talk because once you get started, who's going to stop you?
Oh yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely.
Exactly. No question. Let's see. All right. I am going to share. We are recording right now. You should get a thing that asks you, lets you know that we're recording. And I am, let's see, I'm going to start with we're going to talk a little bit about budgeting in general. And I warn you all that Dr. Roth and I have done this for years. We've been, we'll tell you more about our experience with budgeting. But Dr. Roth, this picture is from 15 years ago at graduation. Obviously, I don't look any different, but
I haven't changed a bit. Absolutely.
Dr.
Uh,
Roth was just a little caterpillar.
do me a favor, please. If you can make that larger,
I
full screen.
can't. I'm trying. I don't know how I would do that. Let's see. How would I do that? Larger.
Um,
I have it on. Okay, let's see. I
go
know
to
what I'm gonna
your
do.
go to presentation, first slide or something.
I'm gonna stop doing. I'm gonna stop using let's see. How's this? Is that working?
I don't see anything except our photos, our cameras.
Is that bigger?
No,
It's
smaller.
not.
No,
I can't tell how it's coming out on your end. Like what I
uh,
was
uh,
doing before was just the regular slide share.
okay, well, I'll tell you right now how it's coming on our end. We see no slideshow, and I see us.
Share. Let's see. Oh, I'm gonna try this a little differently. Hold on. Hang in there. Yes, you're right, because I was not sharing. I took it off sharing to change the settings. Let's see here.
What happens when you have a professor who's only been here
Yeah.
17 years
Oh,
doing
I've
this
been
every
doing this
day? That's all,
forever.
I'm glad.
All right, here we go. Share. Okay, now I'm gonna do the slideshow. Okay, hold on here. Okay,
All right, if you would go here to, let's see, no, we want the full screen. Just making it larger like that is not the way to do it. Go
like
to,
that?
no, go back to where you were and where it says slideshow. All right, see slideshow?
Sure.
Go to slideshow.
Yeah,
Right here.
that's
Can
what
you
I
see
just
what?
did. That slideshow right there.
All right, then make it larger. You should be able to make it larger here.
That's a lot larger.
Whoops.
I can't see it on your end, so I don't know
I
what's
know.
larger or smaller.
Well, it's not taking up our entire screen, but I mean, we could be doing this, trying back and forth, but well, let me see, look at view here. I don't know.
On your end, Dr. Roth, if you click
Mhm.
on view, there should
Yeah.
be a check mark for focus on content, and that'll get rid of everyone else's faces on your end,
I
if
know.
that's what you're trying to do.
I just did that, but I would like to
Okay.
make it at least the size of the screen. But should be able to expand that. But it's all right. Let's get it going here and take out
Yeah.
participants. Let's see. Is that better? What do you guys see?
Do
I
you,
think it's a
Eduardo,
I
do
thi-
you see it okay?
yeah, I think it's unique. The view is unique to every individual viewer.
Oh, right.
Okay.
So
Okay.
for everyone that would like the screen to be as maximized as possible, for your viewing pleasure, make sure to go to your view tab in the team section. It should be on the top right, or at least it is on my
Right.
in my case.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
You click on focus on content so that it zooms in only on the content. And then even below that, there's a little thing that says full screen, and that'll completely maximize as much as possible.
Okay. Excellent. Eduardo, you're always so helpful. Thank you.
Happy to help.
You are always a big help.
Okay.
You're like a backup on this stuff.
Oh, there you
know
go. Okay,
technology.
there you go.
There
Yeah, you have to go to where it says, I think, more or options, and then it's full screen.
Okay.
I can't see anybody, but I just see the full screen.
Okay. I'm changing it now. You see it changing?
I do.
Okay. Okay.
All
Very
right.
good. Well, let's
Wonderful.
jump in here. We are glad you're here. It doesn't matter if you have limited or no experience with budgeting, you will. I mean, it's a fact. It's like taxes. You have to do budgeting, and whether it's your personal budget, your checkbook, if you're going to be a leader in education or really any organization, budgeting is part of it. Budgeting, it's a universal activity, but the key part is strategic planning. Um, strategic is strategic planning is looking at the future, and making assumptions, making predictions about what that future holds, and then adjusting the budget likewise. So this activity is specific to what we're going to talk about today is an assignment that is specific to ed leadership, but all of you are in educational leadership. I mean, educational leadership as a general term. Everybody is involved in doing it and using it. So Dr. Roth and I have practiced budget preparation and management. I mean, I guess estimated we have over 100 years of experience combined. I mean, I've been in the field 35 years, and I have done it in most of I mean, other than, well, really, honestly, from the very start, I worked in budgeting. And Dr. Roth, I'll let you chat a bit about how you have used it. But I started out in student affairs, not as a professor of education. I was in student services. So I was advising student clubs and organizations at colleges and universities. So I had to put together large $1 million budgets of student fees and determine how they were to be spent. And that was a way in which involvement was funded and supported at those schools. So, Dr. Roth?
Well, first let me say that, you're 35 years, and I guess my 65 years makes 100. working in preparation and management. And you are correct in stating that you don't have to be in education leadership. All positions that one obtains, whether it's in K through 12 administration or higher education, you're going to have to do budgets. You'll want to know how to do budgets because someone will come to you and hand you, as in the past, a book. Say, okay, you've got a week to do the
Yeah.
budget, and you have to know what you're doing. So that's why I think it's important, not just to, I would say, I don't know if you can enjoy doing budgeting. I guess there are math people out there that do, but at least embrace it and accept the challenge and say, I'm going to do this right. Because when they ask you questions about aspects of the budget, you have to have those answers ready. And when you want to change something that you had in the budget, you have to have a good reason for it. So it's not only just knowing how to do numbers, you have to do critical thinking as well. Continue, sir. Next slide.
All right. So some people, these are some of the reactions of people to budgets. They say, oh, it's scary or it's boring. Those are two very common reactions I get from students. And honestly, we are going to talk about a budget assignment today that many students say is boring or scary. They really do. They also, once they get into doing the budget we're going to work on tonight, they say it's mind-numbing. I'm going to take the slides off for a minute here, Dr. Roth. You're welcome to talk about feelings and reactions to budgets because I want to check if there's someone else wanting to get into the class.
Okay.
Hold on. I got to take it off to do that. So that's
Okay. All right.
Sorry about
Well,
that.
that's true. When you're looking at our budgets in our classes in the master's program, it's a 553 class. And when you look at the class in, I think it's 730 in the PhD and ADD program, there are too many years of past budgets that you have to look at and then say, oh my God, how am I going to do this year, which has empty columns and you have to fill it in. So it can be scary. But again, I think you have to embrace the challenge and learn from it and say, gee, I learned how to do budget and I'm pretty competent in it and bring it on because it's something that all leaders in whatever field, doesn't have to be just, of course, in education, because those of you who are in education, who are in the master's program and the PhD program, ADD program, you won't always just go into education. You go into other companies as well, other organizations, and you'll have to know it. And having that in your curriculum, having that knowledge and being able to answer in an interview, do you know about budgeting? Well, yes, I do. I've had experience in it. That means a lot. Sir?
It does. Absolutely. There wasn't anyone else waiting to get in, so I'm not sure what the dinging was. If we hear that dinging, or you may just remind me as we go that we need to add some folks. So what are they? Budgets are they are a quantitative expression of what is really a qualitative analysis of the future. It's a financial action plan, a tool for control. One of the things that I've for years have done strategic planning with organizations. Strategic planning is about evaluating where an organization is going to go and then doing an action plan for being ready for that future. As Wayne Gretzky would say, the great hockey player, that he would always seems like he was around the puck, and his comment on that is I go where I think the puck's going to go, or where it will be, not where he's not chasing it around. He goes and anticipates where it's going to go, and so that's a critical element. Dr. Roth has said, as long as I've known him, that if you have power, if you have money, you have power, is what I think he's saying. And forever, his saying is, they pay, they say. So it's critical as an educational leader that you are in control of the pay, because that's power. That's power, that's resources. I mean, heck, Dr. Roth, even today, I mean, if if I can bring myself to watch the news of what's going on out there, I mean, all the conversation is about what's authorized for payment and what's not. That's all the conversation about our politics and our government. And so the truth is democracy is centered around the notion of who's paying what. I mean, all the conversations about taxes, taxation all come around the conversation about how much someone is paying and who's paying their fair share. It's a big big commentary.
Well, when you say they pay, they say, it's all about control. And a
Yeah.
budget is like a Zen, yin yang.
Mhm.
The yin could be revenue. The yang could be expenditures. And you have to look at that black and white. There are areas that we can control, and there are areas that we cannot control. The revenue in many ways is out of our control. We may be able to adapt to the realities of new enrollments, which means more revenue, or less enrollments, which means less revenue.
Yes.
But then we have control over that other part of any budget, which is the expenditures. And this is where we have to be creative, because when they pay, and they're paying us to do the budget, they want us to be absolutely on top and make those predictions right. Because if you don't make it right and they come and say, what happened here, you have to have a pretty good answer.
You do.
Sir?
You do. You do. And quite frankly, and let's see, I think I'm going to what I think is the next slide here. We're going to talk about this budget exercise next. We're going to give you an overview. So a lot of the students who are here, unless you're here as our special guests, many students who are out there are in EDU553 or EDU730. Both of them, they are ed leadership courses. They're in the ed leadership program, graduate programs, and they are about doing this Rosa budget activity. And yes, it's an activity, it's an exercise, but you're going to see everything we're telling you about budgets are demonstrated in how it's done. Those of you who are in this class, you're going to want to take a special note as to how it's done. I promised my classes, I'm teaching both these classes. It is a joy for sure. And I will be sharing this link to this presentation to those two classes so they can see it. But the truth is, it's a major part of both of those classes. It's kind of funny. I asked Melissa, because I forgot that she's not in ed leadership. And I asked her if she remembers doing the budget. It's funny, this activity, the Rosa budget, is renowned. I've had graduates in ed leadership at the graduation ceremony. They'll say, oh, Dr. Kientz, I remember taking EDU 730 with you in that funding, doing that crazy budget, because it does have an impact. And they're not telling me that because they are regretful of it. They're doing it because they feel pride. They're
Well,
at a ceremony celebrating
yeah.
their accomplishment. They feel accomplished. Go ahead,
Well,
Dr.
I always hear students saying, after they're taking these classes, that was a hard class we had, the 730, the 553, whether it's a master's, a PhD, or ADD program, but I sure learned a lot.
Yeah.
And I think that's an important thing to take into consideration. But I want to focus on a second here where you have the third bullet. It says many
Yeah.
students have attempted to balance his budget. Well, what does that mean, to balance a budget? I think that's something you have to have in your mind first. Well, balancing means is going to come out the budget being in the black, which means it has some extra funds that you can spend, or in the red, which means you are negative. You don't have funds. You're missing something.
Yes.
Balancing is like balancing any type of weights on two ends. They have to at least be equal, and if not equal, they have to have one that you have extra funds as a carryover.
Yes.
That's what you need, because let's say the following. If you have a balanced budget that you expended the same amount of funds that you have in your revenue, well, okay, that's nice. But what happens if there's a hurricane and it knocks out your package units on top of the building and that costs $100,000? Well, you don't have money in the budget to buy those things. So balancing it doesn't just mean coming to the same amount of money and the negative and positive parts of revenue and expenditures. It means having enough funding afterwards for contingencies. And there, by the way, there are always contingencies.
Always. You know, it's interesting you talk about that, Dr. Roth. The reason I am here in Florida is I was hired to come to a different university, not Keiser, to take over running a department. And I found out after a month of being at that department that something like that had happened. Some major renovations had been done. They went over the budget, and there was a deficit that was carried over. It was $1 million, and that's a pretty sizable. I mean, in the 5 years I worked at that university before coming to work at Keiser, it was my goal to get out of debt. And I never accomplished it because it was too sizable. There were too few opportunities, too many needs, too few opportunities to bail it out, and there was no surplus. So as Dr. Roth is saying, that surplus is critical. In public education, you will find, I mean, I've found in all the state schools I worked in that anything that was a surplus at the end, and this is true in public schools, K-12 as well, that dollars that are extra are rolled over for capital purchases. So if you need to purchase a school bus or whatever, you need to add on to the main school building, then that's where those funds came from. They may go into a general state fund that is used for capital investment, but that's those are again reallocated in the next years.
I worked many years in private education
Yeah,
and as dean and regional directors for-profit organizations.
yeah,
And that carryover typically is not rolled over. It probably goes
No.
into some
Mhm.
bank accounts in Switzerland. But the
Yes.
question is, it is important to have those contingency funds because they're always something that you're going to need. And if it's not in the budget, you got a problem. Let's say that, okay, oops, the bus broke down and we need a new bus.
Yeah.
The one we had it for 100 years and then they can't use it any longer. So you'll inform the upper echelon administration, the CFO, the chief financial officer, I need a new bus.
Yeah.
And there's going to be one question to you. And that question is it in the budget?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you better say, yes, it is,
Yeah.
because I was looking ahead and I knew that budget was going to need a number of different capital goods in the future. And so you don't want to say, no, it's not in the budget, because then you have a problem and it reflects upon you as a leader.
So, Dr. Roth, I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
How many students do you think in your 15 years, 16 years at Keiser and teaching these budget classes, how many students do you think have done the Rosa budget?
Oh,
You can guess. You don't have to count them up, but give me a guess.
probably 100,000.
Okay, out of
At least.
100,000, that's a good answer. Out of 100,000, question 2, how many of those students who did not turn in a budget at the end of the activity that did not have a carryover, it was a deficit budget, how many of those 100,000 students got an A in your class?
Very few, if any.
I would say 0. Like, you lose your job if you turn in a deficit budget.
Yeah,
I mean,
you just cannot do that.
you can't.
You
It's not
cannot.
accepted.
No,
Yeah.
because that shows that you have not done your job. You have not used critical thinking. You haven't looked at all the contingencies
Yes.
that will occur during the year,
Yeah.
and you just can't do it.
No,
It's like not
it's,
coming to work every day. You have to come to work every day because that's part of your job.
it's due diligence. It
Absolutely.
shows your resilience. And
And
many of
also
you have
shows
shown
that we've
resilience, you
had
know.
so many students in our programs throughout these many, many years. Can't even count how many anymore.
Yeah,
Just so proud of the
I know. They do
enrollments.
awesome. They do awesome. And I'd much rather they got a B or failed 553 than lost their job because they didn't balance the budget. So the Rosa budget activity is a great test of your resilience.
Well, I've always said in these budget classes, we don't want to make you into a CPA. That's a
No,
whole different ball game. A CPA has to take like 5 examinations, like 5 PhDs. What
yes,
we do want to have our students is to be exposed to what
yes,
budgeting looks like. So you're prepared for what
yes.
will hit you sooner or later. Continue, please.
Absolutely. Well, the Rosa budget is an effective challenge, I think. It's a great activity. So, and I know Dr. Greenwood, I know you're thinking, should I do the Rosa budget? Um, and if you want to, you can. But it is a great challenge. It is easier than becoming a registered dietitian. However, it is harder. It is harder than keeping a job in ed leadership sometimes. So that's why we make it so important. Revenue and expenses for this theoretical school district, the Rosa district, it requires budgeting. And here's the thing is, it does not have a correct answer. I don't know how many of those 10,000 students, Dr. Roth, that you had have said, what's the right answer? We don't have the right answer. The right answer, we're giving you parameters of what, there are many correct answers. We're giving you parameters of what that looks like. Parameter one is it has to have a carryover. And you can't just mindlessly put in the numbers and think you're doing it the day it's due. Maybe you could do that the day it's due. It'll be difficult. And find a carryover. You can't. You can't carry over extra funds, a bottom line without putting some significant time into it. So the purpose of this session tonight, we're going to focus on the Rosa budget, but the principles we're giving you they work for everything. They work for all approaches to the budget. I don't really know how to do this, Dr. Roth. You certainly can talk about the Rosa budget all you would like. I want to show the budget, and in order to do that, I have to take the slides off in order to keep it the right size,
Okay,
etc.
go
It's
ahead.
just because of how I have it set. So
That's
so
all right.
you be the filler, and I'm going to show what the Rosa budget looks like. So go ahead.
Okay.
There we
All
go.
right. All right. Okay. Let me just say one thing first before we get into this. Dr. Kynes, make it a little bit larger, a little square at the top. Okay, here you go.
Can you see it? It's sharing right now.
Yeah, okay, that's
Yeah.
good.
Okay, so
Um,
good.
Let me say that there are different types of budgets. This is one type, which is a very typical type that we use in education, what's called line items. It's not about just a lot of items here, the revenue at the top, the expenditures at the bottom, but there are other types as well, zero sum and others as well that we don't necessarily use in education because this is easy to see. And looking at this particular budget, we're looking at a budget that has from 2020 through 2026. And you can see the first column to the left is revenue, and you have different types of revenue. You have local revenue, you have county revenue, you have state revenue, and you have federal revenue. And you're also showing that the budget from the previous years, go up, please go up. The budget from the previous years shows exactly how much was the revenue for those particular line items, like line number 4 is current taxes. In 2024, 2025, the taxes were $923,663, which was somewhat less perhaps than the year prior, somewhat more than 2023, but a lot more than 2021. But there are also information here that like there's some for 2026, which you can see the entire column is zero because you have to fill that in yourself. So what would be then, let's say, a good number to begin with? And remember, we're sort of predicting. So if 2026 is somewhat better, we might say that it could be 925,000 perhaps. But there are always some things that occur. And I think there may be, do you have here that there's a less taxes undertaken this year or not?
I took the revenue items off just for
Okay,
this.
okay,
I took it out of the assignment totally.
okay.
We've,
Because we want to follow the instructions on the columns. And sometimes for these the 2026 line items, you have to follow what they say. There may be something you must take into consideration. There's been a teacher increase in pay. There's been fuel increases. There's been retirement increases that you must add into whatever the that line item is. So you have instructions for revenue. Please go
Okay.
back. Okay,
I'm
so you
just
can see
showing the-
there's salary increases.
yeah.
Yeah,
see
all right.
Okay.
But that'll be down in expenditures. So you would have to begin to fill in these columns in 2026, and then we'll fill in automatically, which is good. So let's say delinquent taxes. Well, this has been a year where it's been a lot of delinquency. Maybe you want to make it 60,000, perhaps. All right. And then you want to put in current taxes. We'll made more taxes this year because there's been an advent of a tremendous amount of immigration to the country with new people making businesses, and they all got taxed. So okay, that's that. So you see that it's already raised the amount of revenue coming in. But you can't fudge this too much, because you can look and see that for the rest of the years, they're pretty close to what they were each year. So again, as I said, revenue, we don't have a lot of control over. And some students sometimes try to use the revenue to make their carryover. And I'll give you an example. Let's say if we go down to, let's say, with the state, no, go to federal, where we'll have, let's say, state grants. Well, let's say this year we're going to have a state grant, not of $32,001 like the year previously. We're going to get a tremendous grant for $200,000. So,
Yeah.
oh, we got a grant. Oh my God, that's wonderful. We can really balance our budget this year and have so much carryover. Unfortunately, that's not reality. You're not going to get
not
a grant
reality.
for that, So there's not a Superman coming to save us.
No.
And there's a really good documentary and book as well called Waiting for Superman. And this is the
Waiting for
problem
Superman.
with educationers. Education feels that there will be a Superman coming to save us and get us a grant and get us more revenue and get us more students. But unfortunately, that's not reality. Reality is we're losing students. We're losing enrollments in public schools. And this is, let's say, a public school budget. We're losing enrollments to charter schools. We're losing enrollments to homeschooling. We're losing enrollments to religious schools. So revenue is coming down. And when revenue comes down, everything is going to come down.
Yeah. Well, and also, Dr. Roth, it is a reality. It is a reality that, I mean, I don't think this is, in fact, Melissa's in admissions, so she can tell you this is true. There is a huge challenge ahead of all of us, which is that there are fewer births per household than there used to be, which means fewer school children, which means less tax revenue. And that you're going to see that right there in the current taxes, right in this revenue. Well, it's probably in the state tax. State tax formulas quite often go based on attendance and head count. How many butts are in seats. That's how they count that. And so, there was a great push in the 90s when these formulas came about after the No Child Left Behind movement, started looking at accountability. So schools became accountable for attendance. And attendance was a way in which effectiveness was measured early on in that movement. And so tax revenue was directly related to whether or not students were delinquent, whether they were coming to school or not, and how many you had coming. State formulas. So that's something I know the 730 students are studying. They've 520, 550, 553 and 730 students have been studying this. If you're not in those classes, no problem. It makes sense. I mean, you don't really have to read the books to know that that's the truth. It's a trend that is moving forth. It's going to affect everybody.
Oh, we
That-
can
that's a
even
real
see,
thing.
we can see here in the state foundation formula in 2020 and 2021, it was 1,966,000. But in last year was 1,900,000 and
Yeah.
920,000. So the revenue has even gone decreased from that. And I can guarantee in the state of Florida, it's astounding the amount of FTE and children that are leaving the public sector. In Broward County only, they are consolidating or closing 12 schools, and losing lots of teachers. Where do you place them? This is something that I think a leader has to look at and begin to say, okay, I'm getting a lot less revenue. What am I going to do with expenditures? How am I going to, balance this budget when I'm having less revenue and maybe even more expenditures?
Yeah. Yes. So true. Yeah. Yes. To clarify, Dr. Roth, when you asked me about whether, see, in this assignment, there were years, in fact, I think Dr. Roth and I put these in, where we had some of the adjustments that had to be made were done in the revenue side.
Okay.
I made an administrative decision.
Is it
I took
raining?
them out.
So
them
we
out, and
cancel?
that's why they're not here. So if you look at, this 1 through 9, these are mandates
I'm
that
in
are
this class.
changes
Can I
that'll
call
have
you
to be
later?
made.
Excuse me, please mute your phone.
Please mute. And so you'll see what I'm showing you here are mandates that are part of the exercise, but none of them relate to revenue, Dr. Roth. They all relate to expenditures.
Yes.
On the right side, you can see here in column I, all of these are the mandates, and they go all the way down. This budget we're at 100 is 300 items. This is a big budget. This is going to make your head spin. Look at how long that is. And see, and it balances automatically, which is a beautiful thing. So you can see where I put in $1 million in revenue that Dr. Roth and I were just talking about. I can show you where it totals. That's what I'm showing you here is it shows up on the bottom line. So you don't have to do totals when you're doing the exercise. It'll do it for you. I'm just going to go ahead, Dr. Roth.
It's fascinating that we're seeing our revenue decreasing, but our expenditures increasing because of different reasons, because of mandates, because of inflation, because of different legislation. Teachers may make more salary, and we have to raise that, because if not, we lose them, and we're losing them. So we have to pay more, but we don't have more to pay them.
We
And
don't.
this is the issue. The question is, how do we pay our teachers? Well, we pay our teachers with property taxes, basically, in each county. And as property owners, I don't know property owners who really want to pay more taxes. We're already paying a lot, or more than we should be. So this is the issue. We're getting pushback from property owners on paying more taxes, yet we need to pay our teachers more salary. And how do we do that? The only way we can do that is by critical thinking and looking to cut where we have to cut. And that
Yeah.
is the critical thinking aspect of this budget. And the only way you're going to have some carryover.
Yes. Well, and another thing going on happens here in Florida, Dr. Roth, is capping or homesteading the value of a property. The reason that that capping is happening is because of outcry, because of taxes. So if a state is trying to increase its appeal by saying, "Oh, look, our property taxes are less." Heck, some states, I'm from the state of South Dakota, no comment, Dr. Roth. From the state of South Dakota, in South Dakota, we don't have we have we don't have a state income tax. I mean, we have a sales tax, but there is only property tax is the only way in which schools are funded in South Dakota. It's how it's what happens here in Florida. So, and there are other states where they have all the different taxes. If you're from New York, as I know some of you are, then of course you have all forms of tax there. You have income tax in New York. You have sales tax. All of these are the different taxes that are coming in. So,
Well, let me just piggyback a little bit on what you said first about South Dakota. Someone's going to be from South Dakota, okay?
it's me.
I can guarantee that you'll be the only one anyone will ever know from South Dakota
That's
because they
right.
have more bison there than people. That's okay.
We hope
I
so.
do hope one day to get there. But when we talk about the issue of trying to balance a budget by getting more carryover when we really have less revenue and more expenses, we have to look to see, well, what can we do as administrators? And if you could go down a little bit to expenditures, let me focus on some of these areas. And you know, we really can't cut salaries. You know, it's very hard to do that.
Yeah.
There are so many things we can't cut because they're legislated, like retirement or FICA or their medical insurance. I mean, you can't take that away, workman's comp. But you know, there are areas that we can. And I'll give you an example. Now, you can look at supplies. Supplies last year was almost $40,000. That has to cut because what can we cut? I mean, we don't want teachers going out and using their own money for their copies and for their coloring books and crayons and stuff, but we have to cut that somehow to see where we can cut it. And textbooks, let me give you an example. Look, almost $38,000 was in textbooks last year. Well, wait a minute. When I was principal of a school, I had a really great reading program that we had just gotten like 2 or 3 years before. And then they came in the next year and said, "Oh, by the way, we have a great new reading program that we want to implement." Well, okay, but wait a minute. We just implemented 1, 2, 3 years ago. It was pretty good. Why do we have to get a new one right now? I think that can be put off, you know, sometimes because I understand publishing companies need to sell books. I get it. I understand that. But then again, what's more important, selling books or paying our teachers? So I would say we have to cut that in half, not $38,000, but maybe $20,000.
Yeah.
And for equipment, we have to look for ways as well as how to save money on equipment. So this is where each leader must dive in and see what is spent. And it's going to take some time on task to do this because it's detailed. But if you don't do that, a budget is all about the details. And you cannot forget that. It's okay. It's the big picture. It's carryover. It's having enough funding for contingencies, but it's also about the details. If you go down a little bit also to where it's a middle school, further down, let's say high school, go down, go down, go down. There's other areas I think that we can look to perhaps cut. You know, look at special education. We're not cutting special education, ladies and gentlemen. Forget that. We can't do that. Okay. If anything, it has to be at least the same or perhaps raised somewhat. But when we go down to reading instruction, please go down to the next. Okay. Summer school last year was $36,000. Who has summer school nowadays? You know, I mean, most schools don't have summer school.
Yeah.
So I mean, you could really save by not having summer school, not paying those salaries,
Mhm.
all these different things inherent in having a summer school program, $154,000. That's ways to look at what a school needs and what the community needs. Okay, I went to summer school when I was I don't know, ninth, 10th grade. I was a bad student. I had to go to summer school. But today, I think people do it online. So there are ways that a leader must look at all of these different line items and say, well, I don't have much ability to affect revenue, but I sure can do something about what we're spending on the school.
Yes. Dr. Roth, I'm going to show the assignment here real quick. I'll come
Okay.
back to the budget. So this is those in 553 and those in 730. You're going to see this. This is part of the assignment, I think, in week 5 and week 7. It depends on the class which week it is. But you start out, this is the mandate assignment that you basically in this exercise at Rosa School District, the school board is all powerful. And they have provided these at the Rosa Community Schools. They're the Cougars here in 730, and they've mandated those 9 items. And you'll see in where Dr. Roth was just talking, they're all listed here under column I. They're listed up here at the top. I've put this into the assignment for both classes so you can see them right here. You don't have to go back and forth. But yeah, the overview is important. It provides context. And one thing I wanted to mention to you about is context. So remember when we were talking about being strategic. Well, when Dr. Roth was in school, they probably everybody had summer school.
Yeah.
And so the question is, was there foresight back whenever that was that there would not be summer school needed in the future? Don't know. Maybe there was. And whoever cut that out of the budget then or came up with a new way of doing it or did it online was pretty amazing because there probably wasn't computers and internet back then. But the truth of the matter is, how a school addresses students that have special needs is a critical question. That's what Dr. Roth was saying. Summer school is a response to dealing or helping students who have learning needs. Dr. Roth said he wasn't a great student at that time, and so summer school is important to him. And so, you will have to you can make these cuts, but the truth is you can't just cut something and then disappear. You'll have to live with it. You know how that is. You've all probably been through it in other parts of your jobs, or by the way, if your child is the child that needs special services or needs summer school and it gets cut, you will be the parent who's coming to the school and saying, this is wrong. And so there will be pushback. And where does that pushback go? Where the buck stops, at the person that's doing the budget.
Let me mention
Go ahead,
here,
Dr.
number 7 is very important. It says if funding permits, the board wants to buy a bus or trade in for a bus. It's $125,000 out of a budget that you probably don't have that amount. So what are you going to do? What type of critical thinking strategies are you going to use to perhaps not buy a new bus? What about trade one in? What about getting another one that has many miles on it, leasing another one? You have to think around this to figure this out and then tell the board, okay, I didn't get a new bus for $125,000 because, and give them your rationale, your reason for not doing it. Because they'll ask you, why didn't you do what we told you to do in number 7?
Yeah.
So I mean, this is part of the critical thinking strategies that we want you to use in answering this question and attempting to balance the budget.
Interesting. So Dr. Roth, school buses burn diesel, I believe.
Yeah, and diesel's
fuel
like
prices
$6
could
a
fuel
gallon
prices
today.
be more relevant? Yes, that's right. So in the exercise, let's see, I think it has fuel prices. They've gone up. And I think I'm just going to show this. This is interesting because I think we set it at, I given you the answer. Shoot. Fuel prices, this is just for
55%.
heating and cooling and for buses, but
Yeah.
diesel's up 55% currently. I
Yeah.
think the overall funding
Yeah,
of
yeah.
fuel in this budget is 7%. So we're a little easier on you. But electricity and diesel, like these are things today, like if you were doing this budget you are doing it for 2026, I mean, just raising it 7%, you're going to run out of money by, January.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what to say there, but really the mandate isn't enough. The school board was not very strategic.
No.
They only said 7%.
Could you go
ahead.
to the bottom of the budget for a second?
Sure can.
As we're almost running out of time here.
We
It's
are.
probably because I talk too much. But you can see the carryovers from the previous years.
Yeah.
And 5-6 years ago, it was almost $120,000. This last year was 14,000. That is not enough.
No.
A package unit of a school is $50,000, one package unit. So you must have more than that. And that's what the school board is saying. They need more than 14,000 or 15,000. I'm not saying to put in a grant that gives you $200,000 and Superman comes and saves the day. But in having some increase in revenue that's reasonable and cutting expenditures is the only way you're going to do it.
It's the only way. I'm going to go back to the slides because we have some best practices to share with you. So, and some of this we've already covered, so I'm going to skip through it. These are just the requirements. This slide I'm showing you now is just the requirements that we just went over. So nothing new there. We think the first step is to establish a baseline. So that's basically using previous year's budget. So I'm going to show you an example what that looks like. So here's what that might look like. So here's what I did, folks, is I became a student and did an example. I wanted to show you what it would look like. So that's our teaching and my teaching and learning strategy is show you what it looks like. It's not the right answer. It's just my answer. And honestly, I was telling Dr. Roth, I did this, I don't know, last week, and I went back to it over the week and I found a lot of errors. Like I've spent so darn much time on this budget that I think I need to graduate early. This is silly, but it's still difficult for me, even with all my years and experience with this budget. I still have trouble doing it well. The way I did it, so you can just see is I took, for example, I'm going to look under salaries here. What I did is I took 3 years. I didn't do 5 years. I did 3 years because I thought, 2020 is too far ago right after COVID. So 22 to 25 is a good way to line item. So that's where I came up with 763.91 is it's just the average of 3 years. That's it. That's how I chose to baseline. You don't have to do it that way, but you can go through and look at the numbers and just, throw a number in there if you want, make them all flat and round. I just decided to take the average.
As long as they're not the same numbers, because they're
Right.
never the same numbers.
Yeah. I'm just trying to put a number in the budget and let's take a quick look at how that turns out to just average. Let's look at the bottom line. Sorry. Oops.
Oops, that's no good.
That's
Do it
not
again.
not a good sign. It's close. 13,000 is not bad, but by the way, folks, I did not put in some of the things like hiring three new faculty members. It's not in that 13,000. This is just without that. So because we didn't have it before. So it doesn't look good.
Well, what happens here, this is week 5. So
Yeah.
Dr. Keiser or I would grade this, get it back to you and say, okay, this got to change. You're getting in the
No.
negative. Send me another one in week 6. That's
Yeah.
revised. That shows a way to have more carryover and definitely not in the negative. You won't keep your job.
No, I'm not keeping my job unless I get to revise it. And And actually in this version, I'm going to show you this version. You can see because I highlighted in red the background. This is the same exact budget. All I did here is I took the mandates. So cost of living increase 1.5. That's what this number represents. So it's the average of 3 years plus the 1.5. So you can see it's a little higher. And Dr. Roth, would I get
Sir?
to keep my job?
Okay, 169,000 in the red.
Yeah.
I think you should start sending out your resume
I'm going
because
to.
you're not keeping your job. We don't have this money. What's wrong with you?
Well, it's a process. This is a process. This is my second attempt, and I'm showing you this because I'm telling you, you should start now. You should do what
Okay.
I showed you in step 1 now, which is put in the cost adjustments and just estimate. And then the second round, you go in and you put in the mandates that are over here in column in this version. They're in column J, but you can see it's all the things the school board said. Put them in, and then you'll get to this point. But the point is, are you done yet? No, I'm still out of a job. I'd rather finish the budget than do my resume. So in the final version, what I did was, so here's the third, this is my answer. This is what I would turn into Dr. Roth, and he's not going to like it. I know he's not because he's tough. But you can see it's all the stuff that I put in before is here. So it does have the adjustments. I did work on putting in the additional teachers are here for the high school. Let's see, I was going to show you that. Where are the salaries? Okay, I put in the high school right here. You can see I put in an additional $550,000 in this budget to put in the 3 additional positions. So they're right here. So you can see how much higher this is. 700,000 in 25 and 26, it's 853. That's the cost of 3 positions at 50,000 apiece, plus their benefits. Because of course the benefits have to go up. Any comments about that? And I'll show you the bottom line. Go ahead,
Comments
Dr.
are that you teachers will get more money, but you're out of a job unless
still out of a job.
unless it comes in. Okay, all right, that's 80,000 in the black. Well, you kept your job, so
Yeah,
we'd
but
have
you're
to.
not going to like how I found it. Do you like
Well,
line 11, Dr. Roth? The
Oh,
Roth
you-
Family
Oh,
Foundation gave us a
okay, yeah.
miraculous $256,000.
There you go.
Boom.
Superman saved you.
I was waiting on Superman. It's the only way I could
Okay, here
get.
you go. I like that.
I ran out of time.
That's
and I
a
ran out
drop.
of
That for me
creativity.
and my family foundation's a drop in the ocean.
That's right.
That's nothing.
I don't
We're
encourage you to
billionaires,
wait for
absolutely.
Superman.
Let's see, we're kind of out of time, Dr. Kientz.
We are.
Do we have any final comments
do.
that our esteemed students and faculty would like to ask before this runs out of time? And then they take us off with a hook, stage left.
Well, I can see that we've baffled them. Yes, Eduardo, he always has a good question.
And a long one.
I'll try to keep it as short as I can. So from what I understand with the assignment, it is basically a hypothetical budget that we're working with.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
the main purpose of this assignment is to aid us in adapting a critical thought process when it comes to budgeting, managing a finance in an institution. So when we're doing this exercise, should we be researching, say, modern grants that our school could hypothetically apply for to include on it, or should we keep it strictly within this, let's call it an enclosed ecosystem? Because obviously you're mentioning no miraculous Superman.
As long
plans
as
or
you
anything
can
like
use that as a rationale, I think it's
Absolutely.
wonderful to be able to add something from research for sure.
Okay.
You
I
could
was
say
gonna-
it's a closed system, but also research opens everything up.
Okay.
I would say find some best practices. Like for example, the Broward School District is leasing out They have a giant high rise in Fort Lauderdale. They are actually doing this. They're leasing out one of their floors and using that as a revenue item. Also, if Dr. Roth talked extensively, thank you
Too
for
much
that,
probably.
about the budget. No, you talked about the budget for the buses, transportation. And I was curious about that too. One of the things I found by researching is that an association had a newsletter that talked about ways in which schools could provide transit using public transit and giving grants to families, walking, biking, carpooling. There are a lot of ways you can do adjustments. So, Eduardo, it's a great question, but you are not confined to just doing it one way. If you can find a justification, that's important. You should, and you'll have to justify it, but that's fine as long as you can. That's what you have to do.
So
I was joking about the Roth Family Foundation because I can't justify it. Go ahead, Eduardo.
Right. So in that, what I mentioned there, because that was one of the things that I was thinking about, especially with the mention that it said that the administration was considering a transport memoratio. I forget what the phrase was.
Moratorium.
Moratorium, which I was like, okay, that sounds a bit grave. So I looked it up, and that basically means that they want to suspend all travels.
Yeah.
So I'm within that context of what you showed there, where is this school located? Are we going to be given that context more in detail, or is this more of something like, hey, we live in a very urban area, and most people live in apartment complexes. So to justify removing this transport, I can say that since Rosa School District is in an urban area, I'm going to encourage parents to carpool. This is why we can reduce.
That wasn't it. It was leadership that travel moratorium on principals going to conferences in Las Vegas or something like that.
Okay, I understand now. Gotcha.
Or to Madrid or to Paris. Yeah,
right, because I was thinking it would be a bit drastic for schools to cancel all transportation.
That's a good question. Thanks for clarifying.
Good.
Yeah.
But you know what, Eduardo, you can play with the context. You hit on something really important, that if you're a rural school, there's a different context than if you are an urban school. I can remember years ago doing this exercise. The hot thing back in the mid 2020, well, actually 2015s, 10 years ago, was some schools had gone to 4-day work weeks, so that on Fridays they didn't have school, but they could shut off the cooler or the heat. They could save on transportation. And so some of the students in my 730 class did that. It's a pretty conservative approach, but it works. And the question is whether or not you can achieve your learning outcomes. But you can play with the context. No, that's very strategic and thoughtful. Other questions? By all means, let me have your questions. We want to hear them. I am planning to do 7:30 Keiser Live right after this session. I'll be glad to take more questions. And anybody the reason I'm doing 7:30 is they have a much shorter time to do this. They have to do their first draft coming up in the next week. In 553, I believe this budget is due in week 7. So you have a few weeks. I'll be doing some Keiser Lives and answering some questions and be able to process it more. So yes, you're a little bit off the hook if you're in 553. If you're in 730, you might want to start.
Well, I want to thank everyone for coming and listening to us talk too much. That's one of our main issues. We're like old sailors. Once we start talking, you can't shut us up.
Yes.
But we do enjoy providing any expertise and experience. I would say more experience and expertise in what we do here in these classes, especially the budget, because it's something that we hope you all will be doing, if not presently in the near future as you continue your careers. And this, I think, is a very, very important part of that. So as for me, I want to say thank you very much,
you.
Dr. Kientz.
I'm delighted.
Excellent as usual. We enjoy presenting together. We have done so in many, many opportunities in the past and hopefully also in the future. So
Thank you
without, thank you
you
very
for
much.
coming.
Thank you again for coming. Take care, be well, and enjoyed the time we have spent together. Thank you again.
Thank you, everyone. The 7:30 students, I'll be over in the classroom now to answer any questions. Have a great evening. Thank you, all of you.
Thank you. Bye-bye
Thank you,
now.
Dr. Roth.
Have a good
My
one,
pleasure.
everyone.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you, everyone, for coming.